Joining me now are two members of the Texas congressional delegation, Congresswoman Veronica Escobar and Congressman Colin Allred. Thank you both very much for being here. Congresswoman Escobar, let me start with you. Is our nation fundamentally ill-equipped to deal with the mass violence we've seen in Uvalde and Buffalo?
Well, Jonathan, good morning. And Colin, good morning. Good to see you. I know all of us are holding our loved ones closer after what happened last week. Jonathan, we are fully equipped, just as every other nation around the globe has addressed gun violence. New Zealand addressed gun violence, overwhelmingly banning assault-style weapons after their horrific attack. It's not a question of our ability to do it. It's a question of will. And I will tell you what's become so clear to me, especially as I've had conversation after conversation and listening to the comments during the NRA conference, is that there is this extremism that has gripped the Republican Party, and they are absolutely entrenched in that extremism. They don't know how to find their way back. They are afraid of their voters. They're afraid of losing their primaries. They're afraid of losing NRA blood money. And so it really, I think more and more, for me, it comes down to voters. Voters saying that enough is enough.
Congressman Allred, according to the new Reuters Ipsos poll, 49% said they were not confident that lawmakers would strengthen gun laws this year. Only 35% said they were confident. After two mass shootings in 10 days, do you think anything will be different this time? Will people, due to the inaction in Congress, will people take to the streets, get to the ballot box, and put people in office who will actually do something?
Yeah. Well, good morning, Jonathan and Veronica. It's good to be with you. Our state has suffered far too many of these mass shootings, and of course our country has as well. And, folks, skepticism is well warranted. We've had, mass shooting after mass shooting, children, babies being killed in places where they should be at their safest, worshipers in their places of worship, concert goers. I mean, you can go down the list, racially motivated killings. It just goes on, and we've not had a response. But I do think that this can be different because I think that we have to make it different. And so we can't give in to this kind of feeling that nothing can be done. That's actually, works in favor of the status quo that allows our children to have to live under this threat. And so we can't give in to that. We have to not agonize. We have to organize. We have to understand our own power. Understand that, yes, you named that stat, but that 88% of Americans also support background checks, that we overwhelmingly want to do something as Americans to end this carnage, and that our political system has to be responsive to that, or if it isn't, we have a mechanism to try and make it responsive, and that is our elections, and we have one coming up.
Congressman Escobar, since Governor Abbott took office in 2015, there have been 4 mass shootings in Texas where at least 10 or more people were killed. This is only the 3rd deadliest mass shooting of his governorship. Why does he not see that mental health is not the problem? That's his crutch, mental health, that guns are the problem.
Jonathan, he's depending on the NRA talking points. So the NRA creates these talking points as a way to divert attention away from guns. The last thing they want to talk about is guns. And in fact, sometimes the last time they want to talk about is the hate that fuels some of these attacks. That was the case in El Paso right after the deadliest targeted attack against Latinos in modern American history. He was given the information that it was a hate crime. He was asked about it in a press conference, and he fell back on his talking points that it was mental health. Well, even if this killer, this attacker had serious mental health issues, we live in a state with a Governor Greg Abbott, who has done everything possible, not just to block access to more health care like mental health, but has also slashed budgets as well. So we need to put the responsibility on this where it should lie, with the failed leadership of Governor Greg Abbott, but also, as to what Colin said, we have the power of our voice at the ballot box coming this November.
Well, Congressman Allred, let me have you pick up on that. As the Congresswoman said, the failed leadership of Governor Abbott. And again, just to listen to him talk about mental health, and then knowing what he has done to the budget for health care in Texas, it's just galling.
I mean, it's really unacceptable. We can't allow them to get away with this. They've not expanded Medicaid in Texas, Jonathan. If you want to talk about mental health, expand Medicaid. If you want to talk about mental health, let's incentivize getting people trained in these fields and getting them into some of our communities where we need this mental health. Let's talk about not going after schools and the funding for schools with these voucher programs that would take funding away from providing mental health services in our schools. I mean, it's absolutely unacceptable. And Governor Abbott cannot dodge his role in producing the conditions for this to happen. After we had these recent rash of shootings in Texas in the last legislative session, he went and made it easier to get your hands on a handgun. So you don't have to get licensed. You don't have to get trained, which is something that we had in this state before. He's done everything he can to pander to this industry, to this lobby. He didn't go to the NRA convention, but he did deliver a video saying he was with them in spirit and wished he could have been there. And we just can't allow that. We can't accept it. There has to be accountability. When I played in the NFL, if you had a game or a play where you made a mistake, afterwards you reviewed it, you talked about it, and there had to be accountability, either that you fixed the problem or we found someone else who could. That has to happen in our politics.
Congressman Colin Allred, Congresswoman Veronica Escobar, thank you both very much for coming to the Sunday show today.